How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Tattooist. This is from 2007 and is directed by Peter Berger and stars Jason Behr and Mia Blake. And this is actually the first film from Ghost House Underground. Ghost House Underground is a subset of Ghost House Pictures and is, I believe, more designed for their smaller, typically direct-to-video films. And this was their first one. This came out June 24th, 2008, and then later that same year, on October 14th, they would release a set of 8 films that you guys may be familiar with. Here's a random one of them, Dance of the Dead. And you can see how they changed things up a little bit. The banner at the top is darker red, and their logo is much bigger and on this really cool slipcase. So this was sort of a test run, I guess, for this set of 8 films, and then they would do a couple other sets of films after that. But yeah, the first Ghost House Underground picture. Anyway, this movie is about a tattooist, a tattoo artist. He's a healer, say you have arthritis or something, and he looks up a tattoo that some old culture used to use to cure arthritis. He puts it on you, and then all of a sudden you can move your joints a lot better. The thing is, he doesn't really believe this. He does his work. He's a professional tattoo artist, and he does look up legitimate symbols, but he doesn't really believe it, but he knows a lot of people do. And hey, you gotta get by, right? And that's sort of been his stick, and he gets invited to this convention, and while he's at the convention, he sees an old-timey tattoo needle from New Zealand, and he decides to steal it. Well, ever since he steals that needle, all the people he gives tattoos to start to die. So yeah, he has to figure out how to stop the ghost, especially because his new girlfriend there, he gave her a tattoo before he realized what was going on, and he has to figure out who the ghost is, what it wants, and how to put it to rest before it kills his girlfriend. Pretty standard ghost fare there. Now, all that being said, this movie's okay. I don't want to say it's super great. It's a relatively standard ghost curse movie. But it's totally watchable, and that's kind of the thing with it is, it wasn't great, it's not super memorable, but when I was sitting there to watch it, I never really wanted to turn it off, I was never really bored. I classify this as a pretty good lazy Saturday afternoon movie. When you just want to put something on that you don't have to think too much about and just enjoy whatever ghost movie. So it's not great, and it definitely has some faults, but hey, it's totally watchable, it's okay, it's just not the best thing ever. Let's talk about the pro, though. The major thing that makes this movie unique is culture. It talks about the tattoo culture. You get to see the patrons and the shops, and you get to, of course, go to that convention where he steals the needle from. You get to see a fair bit of tattoo culture. You also get a bit of New Zealand culture. The needle he steals is from New Zealand, so he has to go over there. And you get to see the people of this country, and you get to see how they view tattoos differently. There it's much more spiritual, it's about family, and you get to find out how they do their tattooing. So getting to see cultures that you're not necessarily typically exposed to, it's a good way to learn a little bit. So I thought that was pretty fun, and it's interesting, and it's something I didn't know too much about before, so that's definitely the biggest pro. However, the flaws. The flaws are the characters, the scares, and the plot structure, and we'll get into each of those in a little bit. Let's start with the characters. The characters are either generic stereotypes, or they kind of just fade into the background. And this movie has a weird thing where characters will sometimes just disappear, and sometimes after they disappear, the movie will decide they're suddenly really important again, and then they're in the forefront. So let's take your main character. He's your generic kind of bad boy character, and then his girlfriend is the more serious, more bookish character. She's doing research at a church, and she's the more serious girlfriend. And then you get characters like his boss. His boss is his old friend, helps him set up his new life in New Zealand, and then kind of disappears from the movie. And then you get another character that's really kind of the biggest way to describe the problem with characters in this movie is you get this kid. He's a psychic. He wears a hood and he hangs out with all these different people and he kind of knows everybody. And he's a psychic, so he can see ghosts and he can tell what's going on. This kid will show up and then he'll be gone. And then he'll show up again. He'll be like, he's super important. He's going to connect with the spirits. And then his scene's over and he disappears again. This kid is such a striking character, but then the movie just says, he's in the movie, now he's gone. He's in the movie again, now he's gone. And he's a big disappearing character. And that really is kind of the thing with this movie. When you get more towards the end, when you find out who the ghost is and the characters he's tied to, once again, it kind of pulls these characters that we had mostly forgotten about, and all of a sudden at the end of the movie, no, they're the important ones, so it doesn't have a great sense of plot structure in that way. And also the scares. Let's talk about the scares. When a character is killed by the tattoo ghost, their tattoo ink spreads out from the tattoo and it covers their whole body, and then blood and tattoo ink spill everywhere and you die. It's an okay kill, but it's what everybody dies from. It's the same kill over and over again. And I get why would the spirit change. It's his way of doing something. He's going to just do that again and again. It's not the best kill, and if you're going to do the same kill every time, it has to be a pretty darn good kill, or at least find some way where you can make it, shake it up every now and then. And they kind of do that. One of the characters falls in a pool, that's okay. The best one is when they get there almost in time to save this one character, and they drag her into the hospital, and you get to see the process in much slower, prolonged detail. That's the best kill, but it's really doing the same thing every single time, and it's just okay, So the kills are a definite problem, but also this ghost. This ghost, you can only see it in mirrors or in brief flashes, and it's actually a pretty interesting ghost. It's this guy with a big necklace, and he's covered head to toe in tattoo ink, and he crawls onto your body and kind of sits on you and hits you with his tattoo needle to tattoo you. It's a very creepy visual. It really reminds me of a sleep paralysis monster. It's creepy. You don't get to see him that often. Like I said, he's only visible in quick flashes or in mirrors. If the main character could see it, or at least we could see it, if we could see it for a prolonged period of time, it's a creepy creature. But we don't get to see it much, and that's really disappointing, I get the idea of, you have to have it hidden and here's your special way to see it, but it's cool. I want to see the cool thing. So yeah, the scares are a bit of a problem, the characters are a bit of a problem, and the plot will make things where they come up and disappear and then all of a sudden something's super relevant, so the plot's kind of messy as well. But anyway, I don't want to dish on it too hard. Like I said, it was totally watchable, it was fine, but it definitely had a ton of flaws, and it's not going to be the biggest, most memorable thing ever, if you had memorable kills, if you had memorable characters, then this would stick in your head a lot better. As it stands, the same kill over and over, the characters are generic. So that's your main flaws there, but it's still, like I said, it's watchable, it's fun, it's just not the best thing ever. And without further ado, let's go and analyze that plot a little bit more. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to analyze the plot. I just will be avoiding how the movie ends. So anyway, we open it up with the main character as a little boy and his dad. And his dad is very religious, and in turn he's kind of a clone of Carrie's mom. A lot of scary religious people in horror movies are just clones of Carrie's mom, and the dad is upset at his son. You see, the son has gotten a tattoo on his forearm, a tattoo of a pentagram, and he doesn't like that, so he's going to peel his son's skin off to get the tattoo off. It's a scary visual, but it doesn't really have much to do with the rest of the story. It explains why he's the tough bad boy and he has this, scar on his arm later on, but it doesn't really have much to do with the rest of the story at all. But whatever, it's a striking opening visual. However, 2 questions. Who gave this young boy a tattoo? We're opening up with this 8-year-old or so kid, and he's got a big tattoo on his forearm, and it looks professionally done. And I have to wonder, who gave the kid a tattoo? Did he just walk into a tattoo shop and the guy's like, yeah, sure, why not? How did he get it? And also, why right there on his forearm where he can't hide it? Everyone talks about the t-shirt rule, where if you want to hide your tattoos, put them somewhere a t-shirt would cover them up. He's just got it right there on his forearm. Who gave it to him, and how did he expect to hide it? That's what I want to know. So yeah, there's a few unexplained things with this opening, and it doesn't really tie into anything later, but it is a striking visual to open us up, so okay. We then cut to the future, and the kid's all grown up now, and he has a client. The client has a young boy dying in bed, and he says, you have tattoos that heal people, tattoo my son with this specific tattoo, and this will make him not sick anymore. And he says, I don't know if I want to do this. He's a kid, although he got a tattoo when he was a kid, but that's beside the point. I don't want to do this. He's a kid. You really need to take him to a doctor. And he goes, no, I'm hiring you for this. Do this now. So he gives the kid a tattoo, and there's a line in this scene where the kid asks, will it work? And he's speaking in a different language, and the father translates this, and the guy says, you can tell him it will work if you want to. So you kind of see his attitude there. So after he gives this kid the tattoo to supposedly heal him, he goes to a tattoo convention, and you see that he's well known for his healing tattoos. Even if he doesn't believe it, he's a professional. He looks up the right symbols, and people come to him for this service. Well, he's hanging out in the tattoo place, and he sees a beautiful woman, and he follows her to her booth, and at the section they have set up, they're from New Zealand, and they're giving this guy a ritualistic tattoo, and he wants to know more about the process, and he's like, I'm a healer, I want to know about your symbols, will any of these be useful to me? And they basically say, hey, don't copy our symbols, just get out of here, which I understand. And when he leaves, he sees a display case with an old ritual tattoo needle, and he decides to take it. Now, a few things with this is he's the healer, that's his stick, right? And he's looking up real old-timey tattoo symbols. You think he would have stumbled across the magical curse that way? You think that his being a healer would be why he got into this whole mess? No, he just happens to want to steal this tattoo needle for some reason. So he kind of stumbles into this when his character already has an in. It's kind of weird that him being a healer really only comes up in the beginning, and then they kind of brush that aside. Anyway, he steals this tattoo needle. After the convention's over, he's confronted by the kid's dad. Looks like the kid didn't make it after all, and he cuts his palm with the tattoo needle. Well, later on he goes, okay, I got this needle from New Zealand, I need to go over there. And it's really not clear at first why he's going to New Zealand. Is he trying to hide from the angry father? Is it because his palm won't stop bleeding? Is he just trying to find that girl again? Well, it turns out he's having visions, and he wants to give the needle back because he doesn't like the visions. And really, that is another problem with this movie, is the visions don't really strike you, you know? It's quick flashes of creepy imagery. and they're supposed to be really scary, but it just feels like, okay, there's a vision, whatever. But this is a lot of what drives the plot, is these visions, and they don't really stand out that much. But anyway, he goes to New Zealand, he meets a friend, and the friend says, you can live here, you can work at my shop, just quit with the whole healing shtick, just do tattoos. And he gives a few people tattoos, which he's told to quit the healing stuff really quickly, which makes me wonder why it was really ever introduced. But he's there, he's giving people tattoos, and he eventually tracks down the people that he stole the needle from. He talks to the girl, he gives the needle back, and the two hit it off. You know, standard movie fare where they fall in love really, really quickly. He learns more about the culture, but then he also finds out the people he gives the tattoos to are dying. And apparently he only gave tattoos to like 4 or 5 people. He's been there for a couple days. You think he would have done a whole lot more work, but whatever. But he finds out they're dying after he gives the girlfriend a tattoo of her own, so she's on the chopping block now, and he has to figure out how to stop this. He has to learn about the culture, he has to learn about who the ghost is and the mystery. And, you know, the ghost, the way it works, like, he gives a tattoo to a brother and then a sister. And the brother is one of the first people to die, and the sister is one of the last people to die, even though they got their tattoos back to back. So it's not killing in the order, it's just kind of killing people whenever, which I thought was kind of weird. You don't really get the rhyme or reason behind the ghost killing people. Like they say, later on they tell you, oh, when the ghost is coming, you hear the tattoo needle go click, click, click. And I mean, I guess I had noticed it, but it just kind of blended into the sound design. It wasn't big and ominous enough. And then it goes, you also see these visions. And again, the visions never really struck me. It was just choppy editing horror stuff, you know, here's a creepy image, go fast, you know, and that, it didn't strike me enough to be his calling cards, you know, and they're trying to say it's his calling cards. But anyway, these people are all picked off. I mentioned the problem before, that all the deaths are pretty much the same, and it goes through the generic ghost plot of solving the mystery, who wronged who, and eventually getting down to where it all started and trying to save his girlfriend. And overall, it's standard, it's okay. It does have the part where things, you know, come in and out of the plot kind of randomly, and it doesn't have a good sense of structure. And I really wish they had asked themselves, what elements have we set up, and do they continue through the whole movie, you know? We make this whole big deal at the beginning of the movie. He's a healer. Does it come up in the end of the movie? No. Does it really matter at all? No. If they had kept his healer stuff, if they had maybe made it where he could use that against the ghost, that he knows certain tattoos that will help him and he can use that to fight the ghost, that would have been cool, but they didn't do that. He didn't, through his study of magic, find the ghost on his own. He just randomly steals a needle for no reason. He was just following a beautiful woman, and that sparks the plot. He could have stumbled upon this ghost while looking up magic, but he didn't. And then, like, what's up with the random psychic kid that's super important for a scene or two, and then you never see him outside of that? And he seems to know all these other characters, but he just doesn't come up much. It almost feels like he's a cameo from some other movie that I haven't seen. You know, so there's lots of weird elements, and I just wish that they had wrote this where it tied it together a little bit better, but they really don't, and I don't know what was up with that. But overall, even though it is a little rambly, even though the characters are kind of generic, even though they do the same kill every time and it's not that great, it's still watchable enough, and it had a lot of elements that I do like. So yeah, not the best thing ever, but totally watchable and still fine. It's just, you know, got major problems. But if you're looking for a lazy Saturday afternoon movie, go ahead and pop this on. Don't expect too much from it. But if you just need to, you know, be entertained by some ghost curse stuff for 90 minutes, it does have some interesting, you know, New Zealand culture, tattoo culture. And, you know, what we see of the ghost is good. We just don't see it enough. So yeah, it does have some interesting elements. It's fine. It's totally watchable, but not great. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist down here. This should be my Ghost House playlist. You can see me talk about other Ghost House pictures there, like Don't Breathe 2, the Evil Dead remake, Rise Blood Hunter. I've talked about a few Ghost House movies. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Ghost House playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.